welcome to today's video. I don't know what it's going to be called till later, but we're going to start with Mark, and I'm going to be quiet. I promised I wouldn't interrupt him because he saw something really big the day before last, so he's left it a couple of days to sink in. So I'm going to hand over to Mark and I'm going to zip it, I promise. I'm not going to put in. You can talk now.
So we went on a walk on Sunday, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we were talking about actors, and I was talking about, so like there was Cary Grant was an actor, and he was actors play a role, but actors also. So his name wasn't Cary Grant, his name was Archie Leach, that was his real name. So he then, obviously to become an actor, he might have thought like, oh, Archie Leach isn't the right name and it's not all the baggage that carries around with Archie Leach. So he called himself Cary Grant because that sounds more like a film star. He actually kept his dog and called his dog Archie Leach. And I was thinking about that, I was thinking, so that's a persona that we take on. And then we were talking about, I'd read somewhere about Marilyn Monroe. And this guy that was a friend, but he was also a writer, they went out one day in New York and they were just walking around and nobody was taking her on, and it was just had a really nice day and no one was looking at her, or just they left her alone, and they just had a really nice chat. And then she said something. She said, "Oh well, I've not been Marilyn Monroe. Do you want to see Do you want to see Marilyn now?" And they said, "Oh, what do you mean?" And in a second, she just changed the persona straight away. And all of a sudden, when she changed, people started noticing her. People were asking for autographs, and it's like suddenly she just switched this persona on as Marilyn. So before that, she must have been Norma Jean. And that got me to thinking about, and obviously like David has said, that we're always the infinite being, and then we take on this like program of, oh, I'm Mark, I'm a body, I'm Mark, and then all these beliefs that you take on that go layer that make up the persona of Mark. And I saw that oh, so I was never the program Mark. I've always been the infinite being, and it was like, oh, it's that simple. And then I thought, well, that means that if I'm never been Mark, that's just what everyone else has told me about Mark and what I've then made up myself about all. None of the programs, none of the beliefs about Mark exist either. So none of the rubbish that, I mean, there's some good stuff, but a lot of the rubbish that comes along with the baggage of Mark, that's not true either. So if I realised that I was never Mark, I was never all the stuff that Mark carried along with him.
No.
And I thought, it's like, that was like, that's what it means. That's what everyone means, that you're not the program. So that was really big. And I thought, oh, I've seen that. And then I thought, so is that it? Is that self-realisation? And then yesterday I woke up and I don't know what it was. There's some noise outside, and I started just believing all the baggage again. And I thought, oh, I've lost it. And it's like, but you can't lose who you really are. But you can believe you have. And then because you're the power, when you believe you are, then that's what you see. Yeah. Because you're the power powering it all, aren't you?
Yeah.
And so all I'm trying to say is, even when it looks like you've not seen it, it can come and you can accept these invitations again, that, oh, that wasn't it. And then if you accept those invitations, because you're the one powering it all, then you'll see that you've accepted the invitation and you haven't seen it. So then you believe you haven't seen it.
You'll experience, not.
So you'll experience that, yeah. So that was it. That was all I was going to say.
I'll talk now.
Yeah, you can say what you want now.
I think that must be a
You
record.
you can't wait to say something.
I could feel that was
I
a
can feel
record.
your energy, like, shut up.
I know there was a couple of times I wanted to put in, but I did very well. But I didn't. But that's a big realisation, self-realisation, that you are Mark with all the rubbish bags. There's no point in doing anything about trying to let these rubbish bags invisible bags that you're carrying go, because you're not the character. So if you're not the character, there's no bags to carry.
Yeah.
So that's like there's nothing to do. So what you've seen is there really isn't anything to do. It's just seeing the truth of who you thought you were, this character. So there isn't really Mark and Colette here. This is just bodies, the infinite being here, turning up as Colette who can't shut up. But that's not the truth, really. That's just part of the character. And it is a freeing thing, that it's not that you go out in the world and say, don't call me Colette, I'm the infinite being. You could do for a laugh.
But like, just because when I was talking then, it was like, like the character called Mark is out of his comfort zone, and the character called Mark believes, he can't really talk, and he's got this accent, and he doesn't come across well. And then if you start to, that's just invitations coming in, that if you start to believe those invitations, then you wouldn't do anything, would you?
No.
And that's why lots of people don't do stuff, because they accept the invitation that the mind says, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not worthy, fail. You're going to fail, you're not worthy, you're rubbish, no one will listen to you. But it doesn't matter, because even if one person listens to this, or not, it doesn't matter, but if one person listens to it and says, I've had that experience as well, or they might look at it and see it for themselves. That's all it is. It's only about sharing. Yeah,
because when David invited me to the conversation, like when I first started talking before I got my role, but before that I was thinking, people won't understand my accent and maybe I won't speak clearly enough, and I couldn't see the invitations like stacking up, and then I thought, no, I'll just speak from the truth and speak the best way I can. Just from the truth and from love, and enjoy my conversation with David, and that's what happened. So it's not like there wasn't the invitations clicking up as I was even speaking, but I was just going, no, and then they stopped because I was on a roll then as well.
and just explain to people like what you mean by invitations for someone that's not seen it before.
Well, it's the thought that appears within the mind of, you can't do this, or you don't speak clearly enough, people aren't going to understand you, and those thoughts are like invitations, and it's seeing that you don't have to accept them. Because if I had accepted any of those thoughts or invitations saying you're not going to speak clearly enough, I wouldn't have enjoyed the conversation. I probably wouldn't have spoke as long as I did. Well, I know I wouldn't have spoke as long as I did, and it would have been a totally different experience, and maybe I wouldn't have even said yes to the conversation if I'd accepted fully those thoughts and thought, that's true, I don't speak clearly, I've got a strong like Lancashire Wigan accent and no one will understand me. I wouldn't have spoke. So that means I would have accepted the invitations, but it doesn't mean that they were the truth. So when you decline them, and I just decline them and say, no, thank you, not listening to you.
Because they're not you, are they? That's the thing.
That's it.
I just saw that was like, so if I'm not this persona called Mark, then all those thoughts that come along with Mark, they're not me either. So I don't have to, I can be aware of them, but I know they're not me.
Yeah,
because all those thoughts are always limiting. So like David says, you're the infinite, unlimited being. So any thought that comes in that's limiting isn't true, it's a lie. And a lot of my invitation in the past have always been about limitation. You can't do that. You're not this. You're not that. You're ugly. You're stupid. You lack. You know, all these. And I've had all these invitations and I've accepted them. But really, that's, you can tell if it's a thought of limitation because it puts you down.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
No, and so if it's a thought that puts you down, it's a lie because you're unlimited.
Yeah, you're the infinite being.
Infinite, unlimited being. So,
yeah.
and so thoughts of lack and limitation. So that's a good thing for me because then I can see now if it's something that's not for my good, that doesn't make me feel good as a thought, I can just say, oh, that's not the truth, that's not me.
Yeah, and that's declining the invite as well.
But being aware of it,
yeah.
Being aware of it and just saying, all right, yeah. And then it is like David says, it's like once you see the game and then you know how, it's like the mind knows what's worked on me in the past. So it keeps sending that sort of invitation all the time. Oh, this is the one that works on him. It doesn't do anything with my health because I've always believed I've been healthy, so it doesn't do that. It's give up on that one because it knows it doesn't work. But it'll do things like lack and limitation and things of like, oh, you're not worthy, you've not this and this, you past, this is because of your past and all that. So in the past, I've accepted those and just believed them to be true because that's what went along with the persona of Mark.
Yeah.
But then if you see that you're not Mark, then you don't have all those thoughts that came along with that unit called Mark, they're not true either because if you're not Mark then none of that is true either.
Yeah. And that's freeing.
Yeah it is because when I saw it on Sunday I felt really free
Because that's your true nature. You're in your effortless being and that's what it feels like. It's effortless.
It's just like I just let go of a load of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it came back with a vengeance on Monday. And and then it tried to trick me and saying, well, that's not true. No, you're not that. You know, see, and then you believe that, you accept the invitation, and then before you know it, oh, I didn't see it. I'm not seeing it. That can't be it. It's too simple for that.
Yeah, but now you see that you are there.
Yeah, not to say that, you know, I might fall back in it, but once you've seen something, it's like once awareness.
You can't not know it.
Yeah, so once you can't unsee it, can you? Once you've seen something, you can't unsee it. No. You can't unsee something once you've seen it.
No, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So that's it for today. I
Thank
did
you.
quite well. I'll give you the floor today.
Well, that's it. You can do all the rest.
Might
of
not
it.
happen again.
Probably not. No.
Okay, thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.